Hello, everyone. This is Rick with the Cyber Pro podcast. Industry leaders share their insights. It's a few questions in under 9 minutes because hackers never sleep. So let's get to it. Gary, I'm excited to have you on the podcast today. You bring a refreshing take on cybersecurity from the compliance mindset. Um, so let's start here. Who are you and what do you do?
Thank you, Rick. Good morning. Gary Drexler, director here at Cytelix. We are singularly focused on cybersecurity, governance, risk, and compliance packages, right? My background for 30 years was fiber optics, high-speed communications, and I moved over to the world of cybersecurity, and I've been with Cytelix for a year and a half. And let me tell you, you want to talk technology and changes, clearly different than fiber optics. And so cybersecurity has just been a wonderful change, and things move quickly. And so in a nutshell.
Love it. I love it. Well, tell me a little bit more about Satelix and why Satelix and what they're doing is so awesome.
Well, thanks. No, I appreciate that. Cytelix, we are a 100% US-based company. We're 100% US employees. We have 6 patents, 2 additional ones pending. Our roots started years ago with the U.S. government. Think U.S. Army, intelligence community, and defense. So we started off years ago with them. We were then created to focus, in addition to the commercial aspects of it, right? So our roots are cybersecurity, U.S. government, Army, intelligence community. All of our personnel, our SOC is in, say, Chandler, Arizona. We have high security clearances. And then we've now, again, just tried to expand carefully in the commercial area, like state, local, education, manufacturing. Continually, each and every month, we continue to onboard various clients in the various segments throughout America, but also now North America as well. There's a lot of frameworks out there, NIST, CMMC 2.0 is a big one, right, for the defense industrial base, right? So those are some of the areas that we tend to focus on, with Cytelix, right? We're a quiet company, but we continue to just carefully meet our clients' expectations, again, with our SOC in Chandler, Arizona.
No, I love it. And I know that you guys offer that SOC as a service, kind of that managed
Yes.
detection and response solution, but it's kind of the core component of the solution, but it's oftentimes brought forward by your GRC, kind of GRC as a service and your platform. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes. So different customers will come to us, because of the industries that they're in. For example, we had a client in Minnesota, and they're big in federal contracts, aerospace, military. So they needed a compliance framework of CMMC 2.0, both level 1 and level 2. Another client needed a NIST framework. So depending upon the client and the framework that they need, we do an assessment, for that customer, perform a gap analysis. We do vulnerability scans. We do asset discovery and monitoring, right? So we show them their network. In fact, what we've learned, it is surprising, Rick, is amazing. When we do these assessments for a particular industry framework in helping them get ready for their audit, right, to ace their audit, when we do this work for them and work with them every step of the way, it's amazing how many customers don't realize how many assets they have in their network. I cannot name the client, but we did an assessment and they thought their network was this big. We're in there getting them ready to ace their audit, and we're providing them the vulnerability scans. We're measuring and showing them where their risks are in real time. And we discovered roughly 25% more assets than they actually knew they had working in their network. And the crazy thing was some of those assets had vulnerability threats and needed real-time action and attention, for example, right? So again, in the world of assessments and cybersecurity, compliance is a big area. And so, we do a lot of NIST, but CMMC is really starting to take off now as well. But we also support other frameworks in addition to that.
So I'm gonna pivot over out of more of the platform services conversation into
Yeah.
more of philosophy at this point. But we see a lot of these compliance frameworks and regulatory requirements that are
Yes.
just bombarding us. How is that changing the cybersecurity landscape?
Well, if you look at, and I have on my desk here, right, Gartner, right, some of the top trends in cybersecurity. And as an example, our company was listed 9 times in the last 10 months for different unique opportunities and things we bring to the industry. But what we're seeing is, in this case, there's an awful lot of small and medium business customers, really can't afford their own cybersecurity staff, right? We also know from a human perspective, there's a cyber talent shortage out there, right? So, going to a managed service provider, for example, like Cytelix or somebody else, it's like staff augmentation. We do the work for them, right? We bring the tools. They don't have to worry about selecting the tools, onboarding the tools, getting trained on the tools, and spinning it up within their own eco, right? By bringing in a managed services provider, we do all of that. We do that every day, 7/24. So I think the advantage here is it's like staff augmentation, to the small and medium businesses from that perspective, right? We're an extension of their team, and it's 7/24 continuous. It really is. And what's amazing is a lot of customers know, I need an assessment. I need to prepare for an audit. What do you recommend, right? Or, for example, can you help me in your security training? Who do you recommend, right? So those are some of the things that we work and do, on a regular basis.
That's great. And I always see trends like this where organizations, especially those SMB and mid-market companies, they go through these flows where, oh, we can just do this all ourselves. And then something changes, like a
Yes.
change in regulatory, and they're like, "Oh, maybe we can't." But I love how you put it more on the side of staff augmentation, right? It's really
Yes.
about the human. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was talking to them about how the best security talent are going to the security services firms because that's where they get to go play with all the cool toys. How do you think that's going to drive itself as a trend? Is it going to continue that way? Are we going to see people jumping from the MSSPs to the actual organizations, or are we thinking that this is going to stay true for a while, where they're going to work for the MSSPs and these organizations are going to have to tap into that so they can continue to grow?
I think it's a combination, right? I think it's a combination. I think if you look at, like the Gartner report, for example, and they talk about some of the emerging trends, right? Gartner is mentioning, and they have a phrase here, and it was in the document here that I was just looking at this morning on my desk. They call it continuous threat, event, and exposure management, right? Continuous threat, exposure management. And what they point out is, any organization, especially small and medium businesses, well, clearly the large ones, but also those small ones, right? They have a lot of remote workers. They might have internal based customer, internet interactions, right? They have customers getting to their companies, via the internet, for example. There's applications running in the cloud. They have a digital hierarchy, an internet of things, right? So you have this network, you have customers via the internet, you have remote workers. And so all of these are basically a lot of attack surfaces, right? There are entry points into those small and medium businesses. And I think that it's necessary, especially the small and medium businesses, if they go to an MMSP, or they try to do it themselves, they really need to have a tool, that can actually integrate and look at a lot of the threats and the vulnerabilities that are out there, right? So, for example, what we do is we do the cybersecurity assessment, to an industry framework. So we show their gaps from that gap assessment provided. We also do a vulnerability scan. We also do the asset discovery and monitoring. And then what's cool in the industry now is, we blend the two together, right? So we show them their compliance score, where your gaps are, but then also in real time, based upon the scan and the monitoring going on in real time, here's your risks and vulnerabilities. And then, oh, by the way, with the tool sets that are out there now, we prioritize and go, boom, here's your top 5 vulnerabilities you need to focus on first, right? And then as they work those and remediate those, and a good MSP, a good partner can walk and work with them through that, then the list will continue to get refreshed. So it'll always list their vulnerabilities, but will prioritize them in most important first, right? So that way they know where to spend their time and dollars appropriately. Because not everything is equal, right? You have to pick and choose. How do I want to tighten, and improve my cyber posture, put up and defend my attack surfaces out there, harden them. What do I do? Where do I spend it? And with that compliance, with that assessment, and with the vulnerability scans and our asset discovery, we correlate and then we prioritize for them. Here's what you should do. And then as they do that, they'll actually see then their cyber report card or posture improve over time. And so that way, if anybody, if they're seeking insurance or they're going for an audit, they can show and demonstrate what they've done as well, as an example.
Love it. Gary, is there a piece of insight that you would share with our network, our listeners, that you just want to get off your chest?
Oh my gosh, right? I think that's a wonderful question. With respect to cybersecurity, the technology is changing. I think partnering with a managed services provider is a sound investment, right? It's a sound investment. I think a lot of people think, oh, managed services in cybersecurity, it's expensive. I can't afford that. That is not true, right? I mean, they should spend some time and get a quote to find out, what would it take to have somebody do my vulnerability scans, to do my asset discovery and monitoring, to do my compliance, to do a cybersecurity assessment. We package and bundle a lot of this together. And so I think one of my concerns is a lot of people think it's too expensive to buy a cybersecurity managed service, and it's not. We're scaled down from employee companies of 10 employees. And again, as I mentioned, we're doing business with the U.S. Army with massive deployments, right? So we scale from very small biz all the way up to, the federal government, right? So it is scalable. And one of the reasons, of course, is our SOC is onshore. We've been doing this for years, and we're running AI. We're running AI in the background, right? And we're almost on 5 years now of running AI. So all of the threat intelligence feeds that we have coming into our SOC, our database, the clients, the scans, AI is correlating all of that information, eliminating, those false positives, and really presenting to that small business or that very large business, really the actionable tickets or events they should be focused on. And we can, take care of that for them as well, of course. But again, there's a lot out there. And I think having a partner, continuous monitoring 7x24, Gartner is even stating that now as well. And being able to do that with like a single screen, right? You take the different tools that the customer may have. We can ingest those and display it, if they want, into a single screen from the executive down to that IT person, for example, as well. I know I said a lot there, Rick. I apologize for that.
No, that was great. That's what we're hoping for. And we appreciate the share, right? That's what we look for in the community. Final question, fun question. What's your favorite piece of retro technology that makes you smile?
So I'm an old electrical engineer in fiber optics, right? But I'm going to go completely mechanical because I'm so electrical, and I always envied mechanical engineers as well. I'm going to say watches. And what I mean by that is when you think of the mechanical watch, right? They came out in the 16th century, right? With a mainspring, which drove gears, which turned hands on, just to machine and make that back then. When you think of it, right? Mechanical watches and how they've evolved was impressive. And then in the 1960s, when I was born, the quartz watch was created, right? With quartz timing, right? And so now you still have mechanical watches. You have the quartz timed watches. And of course, now everybody has the smartphones and all of that. But I just think of watchmaking, time measurement, and the mechanics and the machining and making that work has always impressed me, I thought.
Love it. Gary, thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast.
Thank you for the invitation. I look forward to it. Take care.
Thank you for tuning into the Cyber Pro podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and all of our cool bonus content.